than any syntactic analysis. So it's not so much the syntax, it's the way, to use Mark Johnson's phrase, the way in which the body is in the mind, in the linguistic mind, okay, as corporal schema or bodily schema. The immune system started out as being a system treated as an information processing device, where the information was the outside foreign molecules that needed to be responded to by some kind of a defensive reaction. Now, in immunology, again, by a combination of paradigm shift, if you want, and experiments, it has been clearly shown, and in our group in Paris, we have contributed to that, I think, to an important degree, to see that the immune system is actually an inactive system, in that it is fundamentally an internally coherent system, a network, which has coherence principles by this two-way interaction between the cell blood species, the lymphocyte species, and that whatever constitutes self is not so much a defense against something as simply the statement of a determination of a kind of molecular space in which you inhabit, so that the inaction is not in the physical world, is in the world of cells and molecules, or in the shape space, more abstract shape space of molecules. Now, that is a very compact way of telling a long story, which is very interesting to tell eventually. But what is the application of this? Well, the application of this is very dramatic, because all of a sudden there is a whole side of medicine which is particularly has to do with autoimmune disease, that is, disease which is massive, arthritis, lupus, all kinds of myasthenia, thyroiditis, etc., which classical immunology has been unable to grip with, because it is not about responding to anything else, it's about responding to self in a twisted way. With this point of view, with what we call the cognitive approach to immunology, you can devise different kinds of therapies, and in fact this has been the case. Interventions to actually treat people in autoimmunity with relatively better results than before, which were no. I mean, classic immunology is very good to treat some infections and some viruses, but stop nothing that has to do with the internal dissolution of this identity of internal coherence. Same applies for AIDS, for that matter. So there you have another impact, another application. One of the things that really has been important in my life, and that I see as an important social value, is that we don't teach our children, and we don't teach ourselves to really understand the fact that the lives that we have, the lives that we lead, tend to be very superficial. We tend to pass very quickly, very superficially in our experience. We don't have, as we have in the school, techniques for developing the body. We don't have techniques and pragmatics to develop a sense of attentiveness, what I like to call attentive presence or mindfulness, okay? Which, typically, of course, in some of the Eastern civilizations, this was a central point, that to take your time, to be mindful of, to appreciate, to have a sense of rhythm, and not to hurry, not to fool your day with television and entertainment. That quality of appreciating the world, you know, lights and sun and mountains, goes along with the same appreciation of the other, and the capacity to listen to the other, to suspend judgment about differences, and therefore to cultivate tolerance. Okay? Now, why that if you want is an ethical desire, but that has to do with consciousness, because if you don't understand consciousness as an embodied, embedded phenomenon, then you don't really appreciate the extent to which that quality can be cultivated and deepened, and that it is only when you put full value to the importance of that first-person account and you give away the notion that your mind is some kind of intelligence machine, that it is, or as Crick says, as a pack of neurons, that you actually put that as the center of your attention. So what I'm saying is that this renewal in the interest of consciousness from an embodied point of view could rekindle, could re-enchant in the West an appreciation for these contemplative techniques, for these contemplative values, which I think are absolutely fundamental as an antidote to many of the crises that we have today, including the way we die. So there you see not so much a technological application, but how a view of science can be very salutary in the society at large. Okay. Now, that is something which, to me, I put a tremendous emphasis and a tremendous hope. So I am very passionate about making that view and those pragmatics available to people. And I think that we should not really poo-poo them as some kind of cute side twist of some old-fashioned Eastern traditions. I think that in the West we have been really missing something, and we're paying the consequences.